Before I get into it, go over to ZTRADEZ.net, check out our terms and conditions page if you agree to it. Feel free to watch this video and join the community that is completely free in the description to this video. Also, join our free weekly watch list newsletter. I want to talk about oil, which we're going to get into now. And just what we have going on, where this very important area is, and how this can affect everything. Traders never talk about oil. They don't understand how to connect oil to a good economy, and I understood that under the Biden administration, and they didn't understand why interest rates were plummeting, and we had CPI at 1.5. 1.5 under Orange Man's last presidency with dropping interest rates. Everyone thinks interest rates goes down, inflation goes up. No. If oil's going down as well as interest rates, you're going to be good, depending on why interest rates are going down and what's going on. Most healthy economy I've ever seen, breaking records. I want to get back to that, and it doesn't look like that's happening now, which is why I'm making this video, and I'm pretty upset. But Iran, a lot of their oil, the fact that, this area may be blocked, or Chinese ships may be coming in, which is what I'm predicting to help escort these ships coming out. That's not necessarily bad for America because we're okay, but it affects China a lot, a whole lot, right? Buyers of Iran crude oil exports. It's after 2020, it's like almost all China, all China, Syria, and other countries as well. Now, China gets a lot of it from Russia, and they've been stockpiling oil. But, just reading some news headlines, China faces oil supply risk of Iran-Israel conflict. As the Iran-Israel conflict escalates, Beijing imports 45% of its oil through, right? So if you think about it, well, a lot of people don't know this, but if half their oil just stopped, their entire economy would collapse. It would collapse because their inflation numbers would go parabolic. Everything, like when this oil hits the ports, to transport goods through the country, it has to go through diesel trucks, right? Which would then drive the cost. That's where you get everything. The clothes I'm wearing, the food you eat, everything, right? Oil affects everything, literally the price of everything, including fertilizer, so growing food. Food shoots up through the roof. There could be food shortages on top of that. I mean, it affects everything. It's the lifeblood of an economy. You want a good economy? You must have cheap energy. You guys can remember when under the Biden administration, when they're like, we're going after oil. You're like, what? Why? And then they stopped a lot of the production. Then we're buying it from Venezuela. I'm like, what are you doing? And then gas shot up to $7 a gallon in California. See, in the middle of inflation. It's like, no, do the opposite. Keystone Pipeline, that wasn't happening while we're in the middle of inflation. Not good. Not good. They had to reverse everything and go back to Trump's basically they had dismantled what Trump did, and they basically just had to go back to it and put everything back together and go back to Trump's energy policies because it wasn't going to work. I don't know why they would do that, or if they don't understand basic economics in oil. I don't know when it comes to oil and energy. But China, so what I'm trying to say here, guys, is China isn't going to let that happen. They're not going to let that happen. They're not going to let their economy collapse. They're probably going to get involved to make it painful for the U.S., Israel, everybody, right, who's involved in this to stop and hold all the military operations over here. So that's what I'm worried about, is China getting involved. If China gets involved, Russia's going to get involved. So this could escalate big time. It may not affect our oil prices, but it can affect, it would affect oil prices. We're going to be fine getting oil, but, it can affect, it can do a supply shock, and the price of oil globally will shoot up. It can just take off, which means what? Which means CPI comes in hot, which means what? Before that, China and Russia are going to get involved, which means the conflict escalates. I don't really feel comfortable. And if I sell here, I'm up so much from the April dip that I bought. I've already took profits on Tesla that I got in the low to mid twos. I've gotten out of Meta that I got in the 400s, and right around 700. I'm considering exiting my SOXX position that I'm up 33% on. I'm totally fine with getting out of all of that there. I don't want to be in anymore. That's a wrap. So I still will hold some ETFs, especially dividend ones like JPI and stuff like that. But that's it. That's it for me. Let's go ahead and take a look. Now we're going to use an extreme example here. We're going to use it because people, again, don't understand how to connect energy, price of energy, to the economy, CPI. Again, it's everything. You don't have energy, everything goes down in flames, and you have nothing, and you don't have an economy anymore, which hurts who? Hurts everyone from the bottom all the way to the top, right? Who gets hit the hardest? Poor people. So I don't understand why you would claim to be for the poor, and they did all that under Biden. And then on top of that, it's like, what? You just hurt all the poor people. I thought you were for them. And now Trump, we voted for no war, and now we're getting involved in a war that doesn't affect us. I don't know. Maybe it does, because, hey, if we don't put an end to this, then CPI is going to come in hot. Let's get this over quickly. Maybe that's what they're thinking. I don't like it, though. I don't like it. I don't want a Bush V2. I don't. So over here, this is actually under Bush Senior. I'm bringing up Bush. We're going all the way back. I'm going to use an extreme case here. Okay, this is crude oil futures. There's the oil embargo right there. Or that's not the oil embargo. That's the crash of, what was that? Maybe that was. No, it wasn't. Anyways, I don't know what this drop right here was. I'm going to have to find that out. That was an 86. Interesting. But I do know what this is right here. And there's a perfect 1, 2, 3. Look at that. So when we entered Iraq, Desert Storm, Saddam Hussein did not know that we had GPS. It was like it was a new technology. He thought that we were going to scan, we were going to use the airplanes to help us guide us through some of the passes to get to Iraq, right? To get through Iraq and everything. But he also wanted to disable the Air Force. And one way to do that was to set fire to the oil fields, which would just blanket the entire skies of just pitch black smoke. So they did that, and what did that do? It shocked the oil supply globally. So what did it do? We went up over double, 120%. This shot up over 120%. That is wild for 3 months until it was all put out and the war was over. And then it peeled off. So you can imagine, and I should have probably brought this data up before this. I just thought of this now. What the CPI reports were going into right around October, August through, let's say, October, even just before. We'll do the whole year of 1990. I'd like to see all of that, because I'm curious on what those prices would be and what that looked like. In fact, let me pull it up now. Let's see here. CPI reports 1990. Let's see if I can just find it real quick. Consumer Price Index 1913 through 2025. Interesting. That's not going to help. Wait, let's see here. I think this is it. Okay. Take a look at this. Let's see. I need to know the months, though. Okay, we have the months up there. So we need to, let's see. So this is June. So we're going to go June, and I'll highlight it. Let me go ahead and pull this over for us, guys. June 1990. Yeah. Take a look at this. I move my mug down right here. This is June going all the way to the end of the year. So we were at, you can see we were higher. This is as high as it was. Look at that, 6.1, 5.4. We never, It was never this high. Look at '08 after the '08 crash in 2009, negative. So let's find out what these two numbers over here, 6.1, 5.4, compare it to the rest of everything above it and below it. Wow. So as you can see that, obviously we knew it was up. I guess I didn't have to do that, but still, that can cause inflation to go roaring for the rest of the year. So we want to keep our eyes on energy-related stocks, which we have a gap up here on XOM. I'm surprised this didn't bake all this in. I don't know why. Occidental Petroleum, gap here, gap here, gap here. Okay, let's pull up USO. And if CPI starts coming in hot like that, say goodbye to the market. The market's, that's it. Market's cooked. It's done. It starts coming in real hot like that. That is it. I did not want this war. USO is already going nuts here. Let's pull up another one, CVX. I'd have to do some research on here. Let's see here. CVX still looks good, but it hasn't shot up for a reason. We'd have to find that out. Gap here 155, gap here 165. So if oil starts going parabolic, we're in a low volume area as it is. This could easily, in my opinion, at least see that where this volume shelf is peaking out. We could at least go into that dip there, 151. We're at 149. It'll probably be there at open this evening. 155 easily. 155, 166 range. We can clear this area, 157. I expect us to go into that 165 area. CVX is something I'm going to keep my eyes on. It's just so expensive. Let's take a look at Oxy as well. Yeah, easily 48. We'll see here. I just don't like the downtrend. There's a lot of pressure pushing down on it, Point of this video was to educate you guys on oil a little bit. I'm a little bit out of it because I just woke up. So bear with me, struggling to find words here. Keep your eyes on energy. If this conflict keeps escalating, I don't want to see China getting involved, but they are. If China gets involved, Russia's going to get involved. If Russia and China are getting involved, North Korea is getting involved. Pakistan doesn't want to be next, guys. Iran doesn't have to develop in UK. I'm not going to finish it. I don't know YouTube's policy on that. But it's real easy. They just ship one there, They can just ship it. It's that easy. They ship it there. They can do it like that in like 8 hours. They don't need to make them. They can just give them to them, and they're right there. And they say, okay, well, this will calm the global conflict down because now we're not going to have, no, Israel, we can't have CPI ripping to 10. Okay, we're not going to do that. All right, so they already have them. So what's up? Sit down, calm down, enough with the conflict. They could do that. They could do that. They could be like, well, this will de-escalate it. We've got them, and we will use them. Maybe it will. Maybe it wouldn't. I don't know. I just don't like this right now. We had 4 years. We saw what 4 years of no war did under Orange Man's first presidency. I've never seen a better economy. I have not ever, 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 ever seen a better economy. I mean, that was just unbelievable. If you guys were following jobless claims, unemployment, CPI, PPI, all that, we were breaking records, record after record after record after record. Some of them going all the way back to the 60s. I mean, that was an environment that you want to thrive in. And you can imagine what this place, United States, would look like if we haven't went through 25 years of fighting other people's wars. All that money, we're talking about what, like 15 trillion? That money would have stayed here. Every time it changed hands, it would have been taxed, which is money coming back to the government. When you send it offshore, it's gone. It's never taxed again. When it changes hands offshore, that tax money isn't coming back over here. Example, I pay you $10 for a service. You're taxed, $2 on that, right? Depending on your income, you'd be taxed 20%, whatever. Anyways. So, yeah, it would look like an absolute utopia here, an absolute utopia. But we haven't had that. The ROI on a explosive blowing up is zero. It's zero. So if I print money for all that equipment, I got to watch my words here on YouTube, guys. And then the equipment, it blows up. That's it. Like, what? You're not getting any tax money back. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. I understand there's times when we have to do stuff like that. I get it. I get it. For our economy, for just global peace, I get it. But a lot of this is not for that, and we know that. Ukraine war, come on. Use your head. These Middle Eastern wars, looking back on it, no. All of it, it was a massive mistake, huge mistake, completely destabilized the Middle East. So we're fighting other people's wars for them, and it was unnecessary, and the result of doing it has been worse. And that's a whole nother conversation. I'm completely against this. I get why they're doing it, though. There may be, if we didn't do this, it could have been something worse. I don't know what the outcome would be. But I do know CPI is probably, we're on the brink of it coming in hot. Look how bad that report I just pulled up was. We're between 1.5 and 3 usually, and it was at in the mid sixes. After energy had already peeled off. After it had already peeled off over here till the end of the year, we were high. Now, the following year, it was better. But if we stay like that for 6 months, now this is an extreme case here, but it could happen, something similar to this, a little bit more mild, could happen. And if the whole Middle East goes to war, that's it. Economy's that's it. Kaput. Done. Rates are going to have to go. I mean, I don't understand what they would do. You can't take rates up at that point while we're in an economy and collapsing. I mean, it would just be bad. And maybe that's what Powell's waiting for. So we'll see. Anyways, guys, this was a little bit a more informative video, educating you guys a bit. And if you guys like this content, make sure to like and follow for more.